I've always thought of photography as being specifically about recording light. The object, the subject itself, has always been secondary for me. The theme has more to do with the sort of two-dimensional design elements that I use in the photographs. In other words, how I arrange form and space and line in the photographs. That essentially is the same for all the work. I pay as much attention to the composition in one of the, fantasy flower things as I do in a landscape. It is the light and the form that is really what I'm recording. For me, subject matter is really a secondary concern. I often find that, for example, when I'm photographing one of these antique classic cars, the details of those often, to me, don't look any different physically than a sand dune. From a strictly design standpoint, they're no different. They're different materials. Obviously, one is metal and the other is sand, but the gesture of line and form and space that they create within the frame, that remains pretty constant. Every once in a while, something will attract my attention. It happens to everybody. You're walking around looking at something, all of a sudden you stop and you look. What is that? Why am I being attracted to that? Well, as a photographer, and my background in design, what I do is I try to intellectualize in my head, what is it about what I'm looking at that's causing me to take notice of it? It might be the gesture of a line, it might be some repetitive series of light and shadow that's creating some sort of a symmetrical condition that attracts my attention. And as a photographer, what I try to do is to zero in on exactly what that is and eliminate everything else out of the frame. Try to simplify it and to distill it. Approaching my photography in this manner, it really doesn't matter where I am or what I'm looking at. I often think that when you return to a place over and over again, you really can learn more and more about it. Oftentimes the first trip to a location, it has its own excitement because it's something new. At the same time, it takes a while before you understand what it is about the light or the condition or the form that you're looking at that's causing you to take notice of it, and that really speaks to that place in an individual and unique way. There's an image back here on the wall of a dune. When I look at that picture, what I remember about that day was the feel of the sand on my bare feet. When I get out on the dunes, I like to walk around in bare feet because your shoes get completely full of sand otherwise. And the warmth of that sand on my feet is really what that photograph reminds me of. Photographs can elicit a lot more than just kind of the visual record, and for me they do. There's a lot of arguments that go back and forth about the validity or efficacy, shall we say, of manipulation in art. Particularly in photography. There's a lot of people that think that a photograph is not really true if it's been manipulated. One of the first manipulations that all photographers do is they decide what they're going to covertly hide from the audience by zeroing in on a specific frame that they do show you. For me, I like to define photographs as being stylized interpretations of a given reality that have been filtered through the photographer's chosen set of tools and materials and are based solely upon the photographer's decision-making process. Every photograph lies, yes. The idea of photographs aren't real. I mean, you know, the digital age has kind of brought to the forefront this issue of the reality in photographs, and I think people have had to start to pay more attention to the fact that photographs are stylized interpretations. That's what makes them so interesting and different, I think. Well, I think I've always, of course, wanted to make the most perfect print I could from the negative and be as faithful to the negative as possible. And as a lot of conventional photographers would describe it, once one goes over to the dark side, all of a sudden, you no longer have to think of photographs in terms of what is conventionally known as a 19th century definition of what a photograph actually is. You're free to, you're free from those constraints. Every photographer in this day and age, working digitally anyway, is free to define for themselves what a photograph actually is.